I'll show you how it's done. Shazam!
Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Underdeveloped, and today we have a movie review for you. We have a review for Dumb Money. We're kind of late with it, but we finally made the time to watch it. It's been out for 2 weeks, so this review is coming a little late. Yeah, this movie is directed by Craig Gillespie. He's done he has a good resume. He's done the Cruella movie, the live action Cruella movie that came out in the 2010s.
Yeah, like 2021.
Yeah, he directed I, Tonya, which was a big movie when it came out. It got some Oscar mentions. He directed episodes in Pam and Tommy. That's the series with Sebastian Stan on Hulu. He did the Fright Night remake. He also directed Lars and the Real Girl. So he has a resume, you know. Been not all the movies are great, but he's done quite a bit. It's another one of those Wall Street satirical dramedies, kind of like The Big Short, with the energy and tone of The Social Network combined.
Yeah,
like Made a Love Child. That's what this movie reminds me of, and I love both those movies. And this movie is basically it's basically about a period piece, but not that much a period piece, because we were only talking about like 2 years ago.
Yeah. The far bygone years of 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, we're only like 2 years removed from that. So a lot of this stuff is pretty fresh in my head. But 2021, you know, after COVID, or even kind of a little bit during COVID, pretty much it's about if you're familiar with the whole GameStop boom in the stock market through Robinhood.
Yeah,
that kind of became like a big thing.
Mm-hmm. It was making the news. I barely knew what was happening at the time, but I knew it was happening.
Over the internet, over news, it was a thing. It was kind of big. It was like stock was going crazy. I even thought about investing.
Like, personally, I thought this movie was a generally fun time. As you said, it does take a lot of stylistic influences from both Social Network and The Big Short. We really see that, especially with like the tone of humor. Like, it's very in your face of pop culture references constantly. Arguably a little too much for my taste. Yeah. Especially,
it made it kind of cringy.
Yeah, especially in the beginning.
Big Short did the same thing though, because like every time they did a transition, but their pop culture is a little more diverse. It was politics, music, all that. It kind of shows. It kind of gives you like a kind of sign of the times, like what was happening, what was popping.
Yeah. Well, all we have in this movie is just music and memes.
Well, that's the culture that we're in now. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's how I kind of tolerate it, because I know this is the world that we live in. You know what I mean? Social media, classic was Raj that was popular around that time. People always doing that shit and fucking on Instagram and TikTok and shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like, I kind of got it, but it was a little overloaded. And I'm like, all right, I get the point, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We get it. This is 2021.
Like TMNT tried to do the same thing this year. You know what I mean? With all the New York references, it kind of got cringy.
Yeah, at points.
It was like, you know what I mean? But this one definitely overloaded. But I get it. You know what I mean? This movie was more, you know what I mean? Like try to establish like, yo, this is the world. This is what's hot, because you know, Robinhood is an internet platform, so they kind of like, and the internet had a lot of influence behind.
Well, yeah, because like
this specific trade.
Well, yeah, because like again, the subreddit r/Wall Street Bets was the big driving force behind this, and of course, Paul Dano is also a YouTuber, which he uses YouTube to also get the word out. On top of that,
So it's heavily infused in the plot and the story. Yeah. So I could tolerate to the bet, but just watching all those videos is just kind of scrolling through my Instagram feed, and it was kind of annoying. But overall, I get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, the performances, especially from Pete Davidson, I thought he was hilarious. I thought he was great. Very relatable. Seth Rogen was kind of Bailey in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
He's kind of there, but everyone else is good. You know, Shailene Woodley was fine. Paul Dano was good. American Ferrera was good. You know, everybody was good. You know?
Yeah, there's no like really bad performance out.
Yeah, specifically, I really loved Pete Davidson. I thought he shined. I thought he's really good at supporting character. I wouldn't necessarily cast. I don't think he's charming enough or good looking enough to like be a lead. You know what I mean? To be fair, you know what I mean? At least how I see it. But I think he's definitely funny enough and cool enough that you're happy to see him for the moment he shaves on the screen.
Yeah,
I think he's really good at being a supporting character. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a notable supporting character in a good movie. The performance was good. It was funny. It was informative. And I really liked the social movement. It tackled exactly the problems with society and Wall Street. And I kind of like this battle of wealth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The wealthy versus poor. Just like Barbie, we saw Barbie this year, which American Ferrera was in, which was a battle of the sexes. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like this. It's kind of a nice transition. You know what I mean? Like, I'm feeling it, you know? And I really fuck with it because this is a real problem. You know what I'm saying? And he confronted some real issues, and I thought he did in a way where it made it compelling. It made me feel for these characters in the situation. It made me feel for the world. It was informative, but it wasn't informative in like a split in your face. It just kind of, you picked up as you kept going. You know what I mean?
It was.
You know what I mean? So like,
which is an approach I like a lot.
And if you didn't know Robin Hood before this, you definitely would know it after this movie.
Yeah.
My score is movie 90. I liked it a lot. You know what I mean? It's good emotional moments, like when he visited his when Keith Dano and his family visited his daughter, well, his sister, you know, because she got affected by COVID. It showed how COVID affected real lives. You know, this movie did feature some loss because these characters did lose, but then I thought it was gonna keep going bad because, you know what I mean, I was under the impression that whole thing imploded, so I was under the impression that these guys were gonna lose everything. But luckily, you know, they kind of came in clutch and a lot of them came off. You know, American Ferrera, I think she's still broke, but she's still holding her money, so there's opportunity that she can, you know what I mean, get her money back. And she's the character that needs it the most, so like, because she has real debt and shit, so like, you know, but like overall these characters got where they need to be. They all invested and they all came out successful. And unlike Big Short, it didn't end with, you know what I mean, them getting rich but at poor people's, you know, expenses. This is just poor people actually coming off, which is way more triumphant, which I like a lot, because it's good to see poor, like regular average working class people get it, you know what I mean, get one over on rich people, because these assholes try to build themselves out. But this is a movie where justice was delivered, because Seth Rogen's character, who was initially betting against GameStop, you know, he got fucked. You know what I mean? And he got bailed out too, and he still got fucked. And he had to close, you know, at least that's what it said in the end credits, like, you know, that he closed down. So it's good to see his ass got served. You know what I mean? And it kind of shows, you kind of give you insight to how the rich, and it says, because it's recent, it kind of gives you insight to how the world works and how the rich who actually play games. You know what I mean? And it gives you insight, and I appreciate that. It's really good to watch. You know what I mean? It's really cathartic, you know? Yeah. And I really appreciate that. But also not being forced. It wasn't like, it wasn't contrived. It felt all natural. The story felt fluid. I felt like I was watching a movie. It wasn't just informative. Like, Big Short is great, but it does kind of break, you have to get used to it, but it does break into these moments where, like, it gets informative with, like, cutscenes and stuff like that and breaking the fourth wall. But, like, as you keep watching, make sure it does kind of, like, you know, blends nicely into the movie. But this is just a pure movie, you know what I mean? But it still gets its point across, and I appreciate that. And this was good. I mean, I recommend this. Even if you're not big into finance and shit like that, I think it's still a good watch. Yeah, you can learn something from it, and it also provides quality entertainment, I'll say. Yeah,
because that is the brilliance of movies like this and The Big Short, is that you really don't need to know all this stuff going in. Like, they'll assume that you know that these events happened in a general sense, but aside from that, you really just, you know, like, they explain things pretty well. Like, it's easy to follow, and you really just don't get that confused with it, because it's all just very clear. So even if you know nothing about finance like me, you can still follow these movies, understand exactly what's happening perfectly even.
I minimally understand finance. I do know some finance people, so I learned a few terms. So I was completely, like, I already was using Robinhood, so I'm kind of familiar enough to know what some of these things meant. But in terms of deep knowledge, like, no. And, you know, I mean, this movie did teach me a thing or two, so, you know, into the minds of how these people move and operate. Yeah. And, yeah.
It was a huge learning experience for me, because I didn't even know any of the specifics of anything that happened here. All I know is that people on Reddit were just inflating this GameStop stock, and that was the beginning and ending of my knowledge of that situation until this movie. But anyways, it's a good time. It's a good movie. Go out into theaters and support good movies. So go watch it. This movie didn't earn anything, and it deserves to earn a profit. So maybe we can make something happen and get you all to watch this. Just maybe.
Yep. So stay tuned, guys. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all of our latest content, and stay posted for all the other videos that we drop.